Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the fanfare. Welcome to you all. As you know, this is the third Africa Global Business Forum organized by the Dubai Chamber. On a personal note, I first came to Dubai in the 1970s, and it has really changed. And I think we should all remember Sheikh Rashid and what he did for Dubai. And the Dubai Chamber now, I think, follows in that wonderful tradition. Dubai really is a hub for international business, and I think the ambitions of Dubai for the continent of Africa are extremely impressive. I know that the Chamber already has offices in Addis Ababa and Accra, and I think plans also to open others. I don't want to talk very much about Dubai because there are people far more qualified than me to talk both about Dubai and about Africa. But let me just give you some housekeeping notes because I am your master of ceremonies for today and tomorrow. Those of you who have iPads with you, you will notice that there's an app. You can also get it on your iPhones or smartphones. And it's very important, if you can, to use this app because it gives feedback to the moderators. It also means that you can ask questions to the moderators and the panelists. Those of us who are old-fashioned and don't really want to enter too far into the digital era, there are actually 6 microphones. So one can always go to the microphones, stand up and ask the question in the good old-fashioned way. There is technical support, by the way, at the back of the room should there be any issues with the iPhones, with the iPads, etc., etc. We do encourage you to go onto Twitter. The hashtag is AGBF 2015, 2015. And that, I think, is probably all the housekeeping notes that I need to tell you, unless if you need translation, you can see that there are 3 channels for Arabic, English, and French. One last word. I would like to thank the sponsors of this event, the Investment Corporation of Dubai, DP World, DMCC, Nakhil, Dubai Islamic Bank, Midcom, Standard Bank, and of course, Emirates, which now has a standard of airline service that I think other airlines have to look up to. That's enough of all the housekeeping stuff. It's now a great pleasure and a privilege to ask the chairman of the Dubai Chamber, His Excellency Majid Saif Al Ghurair, to come over and give the welcome address. Excellency.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate, may peace and God's blessing be upon you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 3rd African Global Forum, which is being held under the patronage of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, UAE Vice President, Prime Minister, and ruler of Dubai. This forum is the most prominent platform in the region for exploring the scope of investment opportunity across African continent. We are here today because we believe that dialogue is very crucial for opening new doors and creating exceptional relationship. Building on the success of the first and the second African Global Business Forum, this year's forum will be the theme, New Drivers and New Partners, aims to engage decision and policy makers along with businesses to identify, discuss the factor that will drive Africa's growth in the coming years, and also to look at how a strategic partnership can be created to benefit businesses in Africa as well as in Dubai. This invitation-only event, which is being attended by head of state and eminent expert, has become the meeting ground for deliberation and insight into the Africa economy and way to build partnership. We must not forget that finding the right partner is essential for doing business, and that is what the Chamber aims to achieve through this forum. We intend to build local partnership by bringing together a various of stakeholders from both sides for an open dialogue. Last year, 1,000 delegates from 62 countries attended the sessions, with more than 132 business matching meetings taking place during the two-day forum, and we intend to surpass these numbers this year. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no denying that Africa is land of unexplored opportunity, and we believe that Dubai, with its strategic location, stable economy, sound economic policies, and world-class infrastructure, can be the key partner of Africa and the gateway for Asian countries into the continent. The distinctive economic relation between UAE and Africa are best represented in our strong trade statistic. The UAE is the main trading partner of Africa with GCC, and about 80% of the UAE import from Africa as primary products, such as food, produce, and beverages. Dubai non-oil trade with Africa reached $32 billion in 2014, growing from $22.9 billion in 2011, registering about 40% increase. Your Excellencies, the Chamber was one of the first to recognize the potential of African continent and started its relationship with Africa by exploring the common market for Eastern and Southern Africa COMESA region. And we now more focus on looking for opportunity in Sub-Sahara Africa. We are one of the few chambers in the world that have representative office in foreign countries. In Africa, we have 2 offices so far, in Ghana and in Ethiopia. The Chamber is planning to open 2 new offices by the end of first quarter of 2016 in Mozambique and Kenya. We are also studying the possibility of opening other offices in the number of African markets. At present, we have 12,000 African companies registered with the Chamber here in Dubai. The vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, UAE Vice President, Prime Minister, and ruler of Dubai, has been our guiding force for the last 50 years. As we celebrate our 50th anniversary through this forum, we would like to take this agenda forward over the next 2 days and provide this platform to engage in a decision and to build on our trade and investment relationship by identifying new drivers and new partners. We would also like to take this opportunity to reinforce our commitment to continue working toward exploring new markets and enhance cooperation between business community. Once again, I would like to welcome you all in Dubai, the business and the investment capital of the Middle East, and wish you all a successful forum. Thank you very much.
Sheikh Majid, thank you very much indeed. Shukran jazilan. And now it is a real honor to ask His Excellency Sultan bin Saeed bin Mansoori Al Mansoori, the UAE Minister of Economy, to come to the platform for the keynote address of this morning.
May peace and God's blessing and mercy be upon you. Good morning to all of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's really a great morning to be here with you, with friends, brothers coming from a great continent, Africa. They also say that all of us actually originated from Africa. That means the real source of humanity started in Africa. And we are also part of it. But also, we need to stress a very important thing about Africa and the history of Africa and how much we are connected to Africa as UAE. For a long time, our fathers have actually connected with countries, and mainly in East Africa, what is now known as Kenya, Tanzania, Zanzibar, the Comoros. A lot of them have Arabic name also to them. And for a long time also, the trade between the two sides continued to flourish. And Africa was a source of wealth also for this region and also for the world. But now also we connect differently. We connect, aside from the dhows and the Arab dhows, that has really crossed the Indian Ocean for so many years, and now actually we have the flying ones, represented by airlines such as Emirates, such as Etihad, Fly Dubai, Air Arabia, and many others, connecting so many parts of Africa, going all the way to the west of Africa, South Africa. By the way, not in South Africa. I mean, we have an argument with the Europeans. We were actually before them at the Cape Town, actually at the Cape. So it was not really who came first there. It was us who came there first, because we had our great friends and colleagues from Africa who also have participated in this. Similarly, also when it comes to moving into the center of Africa, moving to Lake Tanganyika and so on. The trade routes were already established when the Western and European actually came over there. So what I want to say here, we have a long history that we need really to harvest that relationship much more stronger than we are doing right now. But let me also cross into a very important point about the UAE and the economy of the UAE that has been developed as an example, hopefully for many African countries also. Since the establishment of the UAE in 1971, country that was blessed with oil, but that was not the whole story. We managed to diversify, to move on, to develop, to progress, and create such a wonderful country as you see it right now, with an economy that is worth $400 billion US, a growth rate of almost 4% on the average, even during the crisis. Very diversified, with oil only contributing 30% right now to the GDP of the UAE, and moving ahead with more diversification, with a target of also including innovation in it as 5% by the year 2021. A country that has also provided for a vision that all aspects of the country has to be developed together and to make it one of the best, if not the best country in the world by the year 2021. Moving on to the issue of Africa and the importance of Africa. We do understand how important Africa is. With 1.1 billion inhabitants in Africa, again, Africa has a positive growth rate over the past 5 years of roughly on the average of about 4 to 4.5%. When the world is facing such difficulties in terms of growth in the economies, mainly in the Western world, in China and many others, we see Africa growing. We see the potential of how we can put our hands together to make sure that we build up more and more of this relationship between the two sides. And looking at the opportunities in Africa, if you look at industries, if you look at infrastructure, if you look at agriculture, which is very much tied up to one of the most essential points that we need to really address, which is food security for us. But also there are responsibilities that we do also hope that the African leadership will pay attention to, that are actually of concern to us. One of it is the issue of laws and regulations governing investment in many African countries, and the need of a better coordination at these levels between us, our investor, whom a lot of them are actually with us today, and between authorities within a lot of the African countries in Africa that need to also pay attention to our concern and our investor concern. Of course, huge investment has actually moved into Africa from many parts of the Middle East, and I do not mean only the UAE, out of which almost 15 billion constitute direct investment. Some of it also is actually coming from GCC countries that went into infrastructure. And Africa during the past decade, actually investment in Africa, in the infrastructure, comprised almost 7 to 10% of the total foreign investment in infrastructure in Africa. But also, I would like to stress at this platform the need for companies which are located in the UAE to take advantage of the promising investment opportunities in the food sector in Africa. And why I mention this, because it's critical for us that we need to address the food security. We have looked around the world and we have visited so many nations, but we do feel that the potential of that issue is, the solution of it is actually in Africa, taking into consideration the geographical location, the ease by which we could also develop this kind of industries, and also the abundant natural resources that Africa can actually offer. Of course, the number of African countries, including, of course, the Arab countries, if you look at the Arab countries, almost 10 countries are actually in Africa. And the way this has diversified and actually brought in quite a different market as to what we see in our region here, in the UAE in particular, present actually a very unique investment feature and also opportunities, but also, as I mentioned, the risk of how this issue of investment will be addressed through, hopefully, some of the meetings that we will be holding today. And I do hope that through the meeting that you will have today to discuss these sort of issues, that you will be addressing in particular some of the issues some of the investors have actually raised with us. The UAE investor have some challenges in Africa. I must be open and I must be clear about that. And we have actually representation here with us from DB World and from other also investors, including also the airlines, who would like to find a solution for some of the problems and the challenges that they have there. But let me add up one more point to this, and that is our hope is not only addressing the issues, but how we can also provide for an agenda, a common agenda of future possibilities, of future investment together, of how we can also have a chance to develop Africa as much as we have developed the UAE, with a model that is very suitable also for the Africans, a model that will sustain the growth of the economies, that will also sustain the involvement of Africa in building their own economy with the right partners, which is in this case, I do hope that you identified as UAE. I want to thank you for being here with us today, and I do wish you also success in this conference. Thank you very much.
Minister Sultan, thank you very, very much indeed. An excellent speech and a very good introduction, I think, to the whole of the day. Now it's my duty to present to you the first panel, and it's a big question with the title, "The Big Picture, Is Africa Ready to Drive Global Growth?" Well, we will find out thanks to Nick Gowing, whom you will know very well from your TV screens, and Sim Chablala and Mustafa Abdul Wadood. Could they come to the platform here? And here they arrive.